Thank you very much.
Your spouse's ID card and ये jacket. Thank you, sir. I didn't have specs.
Smartest guy.
You are.
I need to catch up on that.
ID बात पहली बार मिल रहे हैं ना?
My knowledge of
अच्छा.
I think that day was your birthday.
That just happened to be there. What is more communicated?
which involved also at that time.
युग तो नहीं था ये तो मेरा भी
मेरे बाल बाल भी नहीं हो रहे हैं. लोगों के तो बाल बाल भी साफ हो रहे हैं.
मेरे बाल बाल
आज 5 मिनट.
हाँ वो मधुर 12 बजे तक. बहुत अच्छा रहा.
फर्स्ट क्लास कैसे हो मैं फिटे हूँ आपका फिटा हूँ ये तो दिल्ली है
वाले वाले
क्या लग रहा है?
बहुत थोड़ी देर लगती है.
थोड़ी नहीं काफी देर लगी.
क्या करें बुढ़ापा.
Thank you. Very strange. Very strange. But so insecure.
PhD everything no
गिफ्ट देना. हाँ. मेरा जब उठने का टाइम नहीं होता है तो आप लोग वहाँ पे अभी जाके क्या करें. I mean, I'm like participation. Like Renu. I was, yes.
Yes, I remember that.
कभी कभी तो सूट पहनते हैं. क्या हाल है भैया? नहीं मैंने यार कभी कभी तो सूट पहनने का मौका मिलता है.
थैंक्स अ लॉट. यार मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ.
ठीक है. थैंक यू. बेटा इतना टाइम नहीं है हमारे पास. अभी So where are you now?
I'll get the Asuna and one will be more.
the oldest
I don't want to send somebody else.
चल उन्हें भी अगर शामी आ सकता है. तो रजिस्टर यार.
I guess.
Everybody has so much trouble that yes. To organize.
We actually associate
चेयर
इसने मेरा बेटा पढ़ाया।
राजीव राजीव ये है ना उमा
Very nice to meet you.
These are for six and
Mr. Chandrasekhar भी सीटे. I didn't see
तो 95 में क्या हुआ, दोनों एक साथ आए थे। 95
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go. Welcome, friends. I suppose when you stand at the podium, you must welcome friends too. But we are more than friends, we are family, which stayed together here on this very campus for 5 years. So dear family, welcome home. Unfortunately, we couldn't hold the reunion in 2020 due to the pandemic, but we used the extra time to form individual department groups and hostel groups, which are quite active in their own way and some overactive, and have helped familiarizing us once again with each other. So welcome to Ruby 80. My name is Sanjeev Chopra. I am the 1975-80 batch Aravali Chemical. Since all of you have gone through what is planned for the next 2 days, I'm going to use these few minutes allocated to me by the organizers to highlight and talk of things that others probably won't. After I finish, Dean Alumni Relations, Professor Madhusudan Rao, will present some newer things that have been happening at IIT Delhi since the time we left. After that, he'll invite Deputy Director Professor Ambuj Sagar to address us. Some 8 weeks back, our batch set out to create a fund to sponsor a chair at IIT Delhi. And we ought to be proud of the fact that together we have donated the entire sum of 1.05 crore rupees in a record time. Congratulations. Today, after Deputy Director's address and the Q&A, we will present the fund's ceremonial check to Professor Sagar. What needs mentioning here is that it's not 1 or 2 billionaires from our batch that have written out this check, but over 60 of us in our own big or small ways have done it. That requires claps. Encouraged by that, we have since raised our target to 1.5 crore rupees so that the chair becomes more sustainable over the years. Extra funds have already started coming in for that too. Thank you. Friends, whatever we are and have achieved till date is largely due to what IIT Delhi gave us. One good deed begets another. Our Alumni Association has taken upon itself to help IITians who are in financial distress. Whether it be alumni and their families, current students or the staff. If we well-to-do and big-hearted alumni of IIT Delhi won't help the needy, IITians too, then who else would? Our batch has joined hands with Alumni Association to raise a modest sum of rupees 25 lakhs, hopefully by this 31st March. It will be called 1980 Batch Benevolent Fund. It's planned that 1/3 of the donated corpus would be set aside only for the needy batchmates and their families. As you look around, all of us sort of looked the same, happy 1975-80 family. But unfortunately, circumstances for all are not the same. And mind you, it is very difficult to ask for financial help from an individual, howsoever close that friend may be. Let's make it easier for our fellow IITians, our fellow batchmates, to ask when, say, a medical or a financial crisis hits. And as such, as much as we may wish not, it may hit anyone sitting in this very hall. Pray it doesn't happen, but as a family, let's provide for the worst. Thanks in advance. No reunion is possible without teamwork. We've been very lucky to have gracious hosts and amazing batchmates. Untiring efforts by both Alumni Relations and Alumni Association. Aman, Ankita, Anshul, Kavleen, Meenu and Dean Alumni Affairs, Professor Madhusudan Rao himself. And then the Alumni Association team of amazing people, Satish, Poonam and Deepak. Thank you all.
% of the students on campus are actually the female students. And I think it's also increasing in faculty. You see many more faculty who are female faculty. Of course, one of them is a representative of your batch, Professor Manjeet Jassal is here, who is from your batch. And also there is a lot of new infrastructures. There is a new research and innovation park, new lecture hall complex which did not exist, the new sports complex, the new hostels. You'll have an opportunity to see if you have little time and go around. So the campus has grown very big in terms of infrastructure to cater to the needs of the expansions which happened, and also expanding beyond house cars. Okay, house cars was the only address. Now we have 3 more addresses soon. Sonipat campus is already, we have a 50 acres in Sonipat, Haryana as an extension campus. 10 acres have been built and another 40 acres are under planning. There's a new campus coming up in Jhajjar, Haryana, which is another 50 acres. And you may have heard about the Abu Dhabi campus, which was which came into existence a few months back when Prime Minister visited Abu Dhabi, and the agreement was signed with the government of UAE. In fact, the next month there is a campus inauguration and also the launching of the first master's program in climate, in energy transition and sustainability, which we are starting in the next month. I think when you were students, it used to be primarily more of a teaching institute than research. But I think now the research is very core to most of the department centers and schools, and faculty spends considerable time in research, and which is also reflected in this. Other than research, there are also groups which are trying to convert research output into products and solutions, which is also now started happening in a big way. So you'll see some of the products, at least, which you can say these were designed at IIT Delhi but available for public to buy, is also happening in a number of ways. And also a lot of international collaborations, because as you are expanding and as you are becoming more globally prominent institute, the collaborations with globally have also on increase in terms of MOUs, student exchange program, joint projects, faculty exchange, joint boot camps. So these happen very regularly now on the campus. We also have a Dean of International Program just to cater to these things. With all these things also there are many challenges. And I think challenges are many. Of course, one of the biggest challenges is space and aging infrastructure. Almost every building is 50-year plus. And so some of them are actually going for reconstructions or remodification. We are not able to accommodate all the students in hostel. Many of the students who are admitted full-time students stay outside and still come to the campus to study, which is a big concern, and that's an immediate priority. And also, the government funding has, if you look at the per student, has declined considerably. Now, government also says you are a old institute, you have a big alumni. They would like to concentrate on newer IITs and wants IITs, older IITs, to be sustainable to some extent in the long run, financially sustainable. And as the number and diversity has grown, so keeping the same student experience which you had in academic area and the hostels is a challenge. I think we want to provide the same experience and the same ambience and ecosystem which you had. And keeping the same with the scale numbers is a challenge. And of course, there's a lot of diversity and inclusion. We also have a new dean for diversity and inclusion to manage this. And also attracting and retaining faculty has been challenged. It's still a challenge, particularly in some areas, because faculty come from some of the best universities in the world. So whether they want to stay abroad or whether they want to come back to India is the first decision they have to make. And once they decide, they have to see whether they want to go to IISc or IIT Bombay or IIT Delhi is another decision, because they are also our competitors. And that's another challenge which we are facing, so that we provide the best of ecosystem for faculty to come to IIT Delhi. Thanks to alumni, and alumni engagement has also increased. Alumni office used to be 1 or 2 people more to take care of alumni who want to come to institute and probably do something. But now we have about a dozen staff of alumni office, and they proactively reach out to alumni to see engaging alumni in all our endeavors and activities. And alumni has also given back in number of ways. For example, we have a new sports complex which is built by an alumni. We have a new school of artificial intelligence which was endowed by a faculty, by an alumni from a Bay Area. So we do have alumni support which is pouring in. But more than that, I think we look at alumni as the big intellectual wealth, which is probably unparalleled. And I think a lot of alumni come and help in multiple ways through their own expertise, connections, networking, in many, many ways. So I think for the alumni who want to give back, we also have created multiple options, whether it's one-time donations or whether it's a general purpose or a specific funds. And I think our team would be happy to discuss if you have anything. In fact, one thing which we are now doing is there is almost like 3,000 crores of infrastructure which is going to be rebuilt in next 10 years, 5-10 years. And one of the things which we are also doing is rebuilding 5 hostels which have lived their life. So from Nilgiri to Kumaon, all of them would probably go in phases starting from another 1.5 years from now. And we are also looking at probably alumni who are very close to hostels will come back and support this particular endeavor. And already thanks, your group, your batch has already done very well. And continue to give back to the institute. And thanks for all the goodwill which is shown to the institute, and we'll continue to engage with you. And have a great reunion. Thank you. Because he joined exactly 5 years. I think that the year when you, probably 5 years gap, correct? I think he joined in 1980 and you left in 1980. So there was a small gap. And he's also a deputy director looking at the strategy and planning. And I'll ask him to share some of his vision about the institute, and then we can take up some question answers. Thank you. Ambuj, I think.
Good morning, and welcome to IIT. As Madhusudan said, you did lose a chance to drag me because I entered a few months after you guys all left IIT Delhi. Anyway, so I actually went, like many of you might have done, went outside to do graduate studies, moved from engineering eventually to public policy, and then came back to IIT Delhi and helped set up the School of Public Policy, and now playing a role at the central level in thinking about the future of the institute. So Madhusudan told you about our journey in the last many decades and where we are today, and I'll just talk a little bit about where we might be going in the future. He's already kind of outlined all the good things that have been happening, but I think we are of the opinion that in many ways IIT Delhi has done very well. Given the caliber of the faculty and the students, we are still in many ways punching a little bit below our weight. That's not to say we're not doing well, but we believe we can actually be doing much better in many ways and really be known as globally as a powerhouse in science and engineering research. We're obviously known globally for our students. We have had some really, really good research coming out of the institute, but as I said, we really want to raise our game and really raise our game in two different ways. One is what I would call areas being much more focused on areas of emerging intellectual opportunity. Lots of new areas in science and engineering, whether it's things like quantum science and engineering, whether it's AI and ML, whether it's questions around sustainability and environment and climate change. These are all areas in which we need to be at the intellectual frontiers, at par with some of the best universities of the world. And we are putting in place steps to move in that direction. The other thing is that in terms of much deeper engagement with the societal problems of the day, this is not just now a challenge for IIT Delhi, this is a challenge globally for all universities. Universities across the world are reorienting themselves to think about how to engage with big challenges. MIT has just created a college of computation because they think that some of the big questions that are going to be facing the world today are around questions relating to computation, so that's their big area. Stanford has just created a school of sustainability because they think that's going to be the big challenge for this century, and they need to reorganize the whole university so that sustainability is front and center and permeating throughout the university. And so I think this kind of, in a sense, reimagination of the university to say it's not only a place of research, but also a place where the university should engage much more actively and concretely with the challenges of the day. I think it's absolutely the right way to go, and we at IIT Delhi are also thinking about that, about what is our engagement on questions relating to sustainability. We actually have some of the best faculty members in India in that space on this campus, and we have to think about how do we make sure that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Another area that is going to be an emerging, is already there, but kind of emerging to be a much stronger kind of focus for us are questions around healthcare and medicine, and thinking about also kind of biology as kind of an intellectually leading area. So I think we are kind of also thinking about how to build a kind of much more focused initiative in that area. And of course, in today's world, you cannot not have with questions relating to data and computation and so on and so forth. And so I think that is going to be at least a third major thrust area for us. That doesn't mean we're not going to be engaging in other areas. I mean, an example of some of the, I think I mentioned quantum science and engineering is another area of engagement for us. We are also exploring developing a program on cognitive sciences. We are thinking about other opportunities that may not be institute-wide, but certainly are exciting new intellectual areas or areas where we might be able to make a big difference in the world. Questions relating to water and so on and so forth. Of course, aligned with that means that we have, I think Madhusudan mentioned the fact that as anywhere else, the resources available to us are declining. And therefore we have to be more strategic in how do we we allocate our resources, but also much more strategic in our engagement with the outside world. So for example, we get a lot of requests for partnerships from everybody across the world. India now is very much on the global map. And we're developing a kind of an international partnership strategy. Which are the universities we want to prioritize? What are the kind of relationships we want to build with them? And the hope is that we are able to build some broad and deep partnerships with a few leading universities and then have smaller thematic kind of engagement with other universities. We are also working with Madhusudan and his colleagues on thinking about an alumni engagement strategy. I confess that's an area in which I think we have not been as, how should I say, as focused at developing that kind of a strategy. We have an amazing alumni base. They're already engaged with the institute in many ways, but I think our students could benefit with a much more strategic and sustained way of getting alumni engaged with providing guidance to students and becoming mentors, whether it's things about fundraising, and also we have alumni across the world that are leading thought leaders in their own areas, whether it's science, engineering, management, or whether from the world of public practice, whether in corporations and all of that. Need to think about how to actually get their advice and input into making this a greater place. Madhusudan mentioned faculty. Attracting and retaining faculty is absolutely the key for making any university great and keeping it great. That itself requires a kind of strategic approach. So in other words, now also saying where do we really kind of which are the buckets in which we actually put our efforts, and we're trying to be much more focused and systematic. That's not to say that we've not been doing all of this so far, but as Madhusudan said, one can't on laurels, and the question is how do you always improve. So that really is our hope going forward, to be an institute that continues to be on the leading edge of discovery, of science, of research, but also seen more and more as an entity that is contributing to national development, but not just national development, where we are actually engaging with partners to make a difference. For example, there's some explorations going on about maybe working with entities in Africa on questions in specific around, for example, things like climate change. So I think we also want to have a much more kind of a global intellectual footprint. So that's really, in a sense, a nutshell of what direction we're going to be going in. So stay tuned, stay engaged, and we look forward to working together with all of you in the exciting years ahead. Thank you very much.
Professor Madhusudan Rao and Prabhat Kumar. We'll take maximum of 15 minutes of Q&A. Prabhat will be moderating that. He is the policeman for this session. I'm still the chief constable.
Present and the future of IIT, we may like to invite some questions from you. So, anybody asking a question, please raise your hands. Yeah.
In terms of your interaction with the outside world, I didn't see any statistics if any foreign students have increased, or how is your interaction, or what is your plan of bringing foreign students in here?
We have some exchange students that come and spend time on campus. Although I must confess that number is relatively small, and we do want to expand it significantly. And it's culturally interesting. It gives people a perspective on how their peers in other parts of the world are thinking. Of course, on the faculty side, it's intellectually really great for us to have leading researchers from across the world coming and spending some time here. We're certainly doing much better than when I was a student here, and probably your time in terms of what is the international footfall here, but nothing close to what a really global university is, right? As a colleague of mine from the US actually says, you're world class when world class people want to come and spend time with you, right? And really that is our aspiration, when students and faculty members from across the world are actually requesting to come and spend time there. It's happening in small parts, but we really do need to expand that much more.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Do you have a refresher course for alumni?
What do you want to be refreshed on?
So many new areas you have illustrated, so we can choose any one of.
More advanced in their professional career, should I say, to come back and learn about new areas. I mean, whether it's things like climate change or whether they want to learn about things like AI, ML. I can totally understand people are reading about in the papers and just kind of familiarizing with that. We don't have a program like that as yet for alumni. We have a.
This thing is pretty open, and these are all in mostly emerging areas. But the request has also come from other alumni batches for certain specific areas. If you have any specific areas, please flag off. We would be very happy to take up. Now the request has not only come from alumni, it has also come from parliamentarians. So we are actually doing a special refresher course for parliamentarians at IIT Delhi in very specific areas, which will help them to govern their own areas in a much better way.
I think that's a very welcome step. We can have SDPs, Skill Development Program, and advertise it more sort of aggressively. Yeah. Anil, you have a question?
Anil comes first. Anil comes first.
Okay, please answer.
A lot of these how are we planning now? Are we into thinking on that lines? Online courses,
Yeah.
very specific areas.
These have reached now millions of people. In fact, all the other 10,000 engineering colleges are also benefited by the courses which were offered by IIT Delhi. Just to give, I also was a part of one of the courses. Which country probably we have to do more analytics. But I think there is a Government of India and IITs have a very specific program for online. It started as NPTEL. Now we have a special channel called Swayam, under which many faculty offer courses. Some of the faculty who are offering these courses are attended by 20,000 people, 25,000 people outside as a part of these MOOC programs, etc. And some time back, there was also the world released some of the 3 largest MOOC platforms, the massively online course platform, and NPTEL was the 3rd in the world. So these are all programs which are run with a third party, but they are all commercial programs which we are in. I think your first question was, sorry. Yeah, go on. So I think that's, I don't know, maybe Ambuj can answer. So many of the organizations, when they give us, like when we do a research or a consulting or innovation work, we get overheads. Government doesn't even give overheads. Forget about
Institution where the government makes a request of us, we cannot say no. And some ministries actually are willing to support that. So, it is really kind of, beyond us in a sense to say. I should mention though that, Madhusudan mentioned the fact that we are building a campus in Abu Dhabi. We were asked to develop this campus, right? It wasn't that we said that we have a lot of free time on our hands, funded by the government of Abu Dhabi. And part of the arrangement there is some kind of a financial arrangement where actually our brand being used there, it's an IIT Delhi campus, there is some kind of a financial arrangement that is actually being negotiated. At least beyond intellectual, also financial compensation back to us.
Cover all the salaries, pensions and scholarships. We cover, okay. But I think what is declining is more operational.
Please.
I've been hearing that Ambuj has not been dragged. So just to set the mood, I'd like to ask a question.
As the books used to say, that is left for the discerning reader to figure out.
This particular area. And as all of you know, ML is part of AI. So I hand over the mic to Sanjeev.
Sorry, as much as I'd like to talk on the side, so Siddharth Das and Manglaji, keep your questions to as short as possible so that you can get the answers and we move on to giving the chair.
Consequences of climate change. The whole world is facing the grim challenges of climate change, corona, pandemics, and then the world wars, and then natural calamities. So I think the present science and technology is responsible for that. So what steps IIT is taking to meet these challenges?
I think in two different ways. And also thinking about how that relates much more to applications. I'll give you an example. We are in the process of, well, let me rephrase that. We're in conversation with the government to hopefully set up a National Center for Climate Adaptation here, which will use cutting-edge climate science and other research to help India address that challenge. That's one. The second dimension of your question is that many of these problems that you're talking about, challenges, are actually, science and technology are part of the cause. So for example, much greater use of energy in a way that actually is polluting through technology is part of what drives climate change. And so part of it is also what we're hopefully doing in a much more expanded fashion, is it has to be part of the curriculum and the education for students about the relationship between technology and the wider world, right? So in other words, it's not only teaching people how to be technically more skilled and create technologies, but also think about the broader implications of their work, which in a sense has to be part of a modern day engineering curriculum, not just in India, it's actually globally. And to make students much more kind of socially sensitive and aware of the implications of science and technology. Of course, after that, hopefully with that kind of expanded way of thinking, they will go out and be more productive members of society. But beyond that, I don't think we can do that with education, but we can't really kind of tell students what to do with their lives beyond that.
Foundation for the next generation of science that we should have. He's researching into Vedas to integrate his mechanical engineering knowledge and gravity-less plane on which he did his PhD with modern science. Thank you for all the questions. I am happy to know that all of you are still KTPs, and that is reflected in your curiosity in this question and answer.
I would like to ask you that, within the IIT system itself, now that we have 23 IITs, if you can create circles of excellence to have more mission-oriented programs that serves the cause of India, is that something that is not being encouraged to the extent it should be? Because obviously IITs have their own rivalry within the system.
Right? Part of it is also, and it is a bit of a puzzle, that most of the IITs are in a sense looking outside for those kind of engagement and partnerships, and maybe part of the reason for that is the following. I think many of the IITs, in a sense, I mean, I don't want to use that word, but are almost clones of each other. That they're, in a sense, they're kind of very similar intellectually in many ways, because they were started at the same time, and I've actually been in the process of trying to write a paper on this, in that if you actually map the intellectual trajectories of the IITs, their evolution has been far less, for example, if you take counterpart institutions, right? So for example, if you look at MIT, in the 1980s, MIT actually, to the extent you can talk about domination, was much more physics dominated. Then in the late 1990s, it actually became much more computer science and other stuff, and now it's a lot of biology. So in a sense, those institutions evolve, and part of the reason they evolve is because the kind of the incentives given by the funders, right? So NSF, for example, funding priorities change over time, and as for example with NIH, since biology and biomedical funding has gone up, institutions are pivoting, because that's where the big questions are and that's where the money is. So in that sense, I think our institutions have not evolved as much. So If I actually want to be doing, for example, my area of thinking about actually climate change and sustainability, the places where I would look for different thinkings, where I have intellectual complementarities, are actually mostly outside India rather than in India, right? But on some issues of you're saying that are much more of direct social impact, obviously it would make much more sense to collaborate with the IIT. There's no point in collaborating with the IIT to solve some problem of, let's say, water in India, right? So in that, there have been some efforts. For example, there was an effort, pan-IIT effort, to think about water-related questions some years ago. But you're right, it's not been as much as it possibly could. And maybe that's something we should think about as we move forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And we don't want to be alone on the stage, so in our donor group, in a way, we had agreed who all will come on stage. Please stand up and start walking now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, we should be giving this to you.
You can give it back. You can give it back.
Here you are.
And if you can please settle down once again.
Welcome to our reunion, and I'm so happy to see all of us here. There are more than 70 of our batchmates here. But I want to take this opportunity to remember some of our dear friends who are not with us anymore. These are some of the friends who have passed, and I would like to talk a little about them. We have Srinivasan here. Srini's brother is here today, and I want to welcome him. He's here with us today. And I want to take this opportunity that Srini was a very dear friend to us. And he was great to be part of us here in this. We have here a small presentation made by his family, which I wanted to share with you. He's been here with us. He passed in 2002. They have said something about him. In his home, he was called as Vasu. And he teamed up with his soulmate Sanjay Kapil. He was a singer, he was a guitarist. He had a band, and these were his batchmates in the band. Sanjay Kapil, Swapan Das, drummer, and John, the bass guitarist. He was also deeply spiritual, and his final desire was to move to the villages and lead a pious life. These are some of his photographs shared by the family. This is his band with Sanjay Kapil. Those are his school days. That is he playing the guitar. This is his family. He was also a trekker, an entrepreneur. And his family now says, good luck and God bless us until we meet again. And we are so happy to have his brother here. Thank you for coming all the way. And we are grateful to have you here. Thank you. Move on to Gaurav Singhal. We have some audios here from his friends and his family.
जरूर बोल सकता हूँ कि आज अगर गौरव होता तो बहुत आवाज होती और बैक स्लैपिंग होती, बहुत फट्टे होते, और he would have been completely energized in the company of his friends. Such a bliss for him and for us. Wonderful sportsman he was. No secrets, no egos, everything transparent. As some of his best of friends and classmates would say, Gaurav brilliant. अच्छा engineer तो था ही, but he was a good scientist. At the end he became a lawyer as well. His quest for learning was completely unbounded. The world had that time gone his way. Since then, well, his family has done Gaurav proud, for they have moved leaps and bounds. Sahil and Nakul, his two sons, work at McKinsey and LinkedIn after their honors from INSEAD. And Kanchan, his wife, who stays out here, carries Gaurav's dream forward. And
we also have a small audio from his brother. Now it is here with us. We will share this on WhatsApp group, and we'll also send this to his family. Unfortunately, Gaurav's family is not here. This audio.
It's a little difficult for me to say anything on his behalf, but I'll take a shot at it. After IIT, he joined Philip in Pune. This was in 81, and that's where I met him too. From there he moved to IIM Bangalore for 2 years, and then joined Maruti in 83. Maruti was, I think they had probably started a year or so for that, and it was a coveted job, and he also gave him an opportunity to come move closer home. In Maruti, he joined the vendor.
Wife is here, Jenny. We want to welcome her here. Please, everybody, give her a. We did Sangal's classes, in those times preparing for IIT. We were in Sangal's classes together, and then we joined the IIT together. And we were together for almost 10 years. So I want to welcome Jenny here. Thank you for coming. This is a small audio clip sent by Jenny, which I will play for you.
Profit law and perfect placement, and then became an entrepreneur by the time he was 22. His first business was Bubbles detergent soap, known as Sarang Industries, then PVC Syntex as a marketing person, and finally then started a partnership in garment industry called East End Apparels, which he did for 20 plus years. He was a self-made man full of energy and very driven. He always said, live life to the fullest and never give up. He had an incredible way with his words and could negotiate or convince you of anything, even if
Be able to read a lot about him in the yearbook. Sunil Podar. There is a small tribute sent by Sunil Podar. Karma Topge, another one of our great friends. He joined the government of Sikkim. Audio sent by his friend.
We're here to share some memories of Karma.
जिनका डेटा हमारे पास है नहीं, but we still want to remember. We would still like to remember them. These are the 12 people who we've lost, and I want.
The party, please. Rita's here.
Oh, Rita's here. I'm so sorry. I want to welcome Rita here. I was not aware. I'm so sorry. Rita is here.
Can you just get that clip?
Yeah. Rita has sent us a small write-up on Sunil. And I would like to repeat the last line. It is so empowering. The future is uncertain, but Rita says that human beings cannot be relegated to being mere statistics. The statistics are scary, but I believe tremendously in the power of prayer and the human will to overcome obstacles, and I know we will make it. It's a really... And Sunil Kapai was a great inspiration to all of us, at least to me. I remember him so well. Thank you, Rita. So these are the people who are here, who are not with us anymore.
Students that walk up and down that when the classes take off. And we are talking about thousands here. We're not talking about those few 50s or 20s and the mass bunks that we used to do and we left with maybe 5 in the class. So we're talking about huge number of people walking up and down those same steps. We have to finish the photo shoot on those steps by 12:45 so that we can then use the elevators go up to the 4th floor for lunch. Okay, so we are going to do the alumni photo shoot first. Please exit from my right up there through the steps into the ground for photographs. Only the alumni, the ladies, the spouses, I should say, can continue to sit here or take a short break to the washroom if you wish. But please come back here. As you are walking up those stairs, please walk on the right hand side, not towards the railing. On my right. Yes, and there's a reason. As much as technology driven we may have been in IIT, you will hit your head on the roof.
बता देना जब हंसना बंद करना है नहीं तो रोने वाले सारा अमेजिंग ब्रिलियंट यार